Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Tonight's film is 1975's Jess Franco's The Hot Nights of Linda, also known as But Who Raped Linda, I believe, also in some circles. And I believe the title card on this was actually not The Hot Nights of Linda, it was But Who Raped Linda. This is 1975 Jess Franco. There's Lena Romay on the cover there, and that is actual artwork, which is great. This is released by Severin Films. This is a Blu-ray DVD combo, and some of them also had the rare banana version of the film, which was a third disc. This particular one does have that. This is the back here. You have some interviews and stuff like that. I picked this up a couple months ago and just finally watched it for the first time. It also has Alice Arno. Um, and those are the two titles on there. And Paul Mueller also, who's been in a ton of Jess Franco films. And Alice Arno has been in a good grouping of Jess Franco films also. How to Seduce a Virgin, so on and so forth. Countess Perverse, which I've reviewed on this YouTube page as well. This is a very, I've seen a ton of Jess Franco films. He's one of my favorite directors of all time. And I got to say that this one really stands out as a unique experience, unlike his other films, to me, in so many regards. This is a very, very bizarre, unique, interesting, and playful film, all the while disturbing and dark and lonely and secluded and claustrophobic. Essentially, we have the story of a woman who is kind of playing a nurse of sorts to a troubled family that involves a cousin and a daughter and a husband whose wife is not there anymore. And there's a lot of mental and physical trouble in the household. And this nurse of sorts, played by Alice Arno, is going there to help out. All the while, there is a side story also involving a police officer and a Playboy photographer or sex magazine photographer. And this is the story of the Hot Nights of Linda. Let's look first at the music. First and foremost, the music of this film had two names in there that I have not recognized before in a Jess Franco film. The first piece of music you'll hear in the film, and maybe it repeats in the film, is a piece of music that would remind you of a Jess Franco film. A little Brazilian flavor, jazzy, salsa, bossa nova type of vibe with a little bit of sleaze, a little bit of seduction, and a woman's voice on top of it. And then we have the main theme of the film and pieces of music throughout the film that are really guitar oriented, mysteriously, a guitar mystique. Uh, uh, just I don't even want to say flamenco pieces. It's really not. I mean, there are a couple playful pieces that kind of sucker punch you out of nowhere, but it's essentially just this beautiful, mysterious guitar work that almost it could almost be the keys of an organ on a different setting. Okay, if you catch my drift. This film also has profound amounts of silence, which really aids in the seclusion and claustrophobic atmosphere of the film. Some of the when I get to that guitar music again, kind of like the main theme, it almost at times reminded me of a Quentin Tarantino film, and I know Tarantino has used, obviously, minus the Hateful Eight, really, he's utilized other score music throughout his career in his own films. Like he even used a piece of Vampiro's Lesbos and Jackie Brown. So like he's always utilized other pieces. It's not that he used this piece of music necessarily, but that I don't believe he did, but that it's a piece of music that reminds me of like an action sequence in a Tarantino film, in Inglourious Basterds at the end in the projection booth or something. You know what I mean? Almost a little Ennio Morricone, a little bit. If I'm I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Almost even that a little bit. Stylistically, this film is really just spectacular and unique. There's some unique aspects to this. We have Franco doing reverse zooms and regular zooms, forward zooms, with some shakiness and the camera kind of moving like this where it kind of moves like that, and then stuff like that. We have some zooms and things, um, and we have some just beautiful shots and interesting editing where the scenes kind of cut to a swarm of birds over the blue sky when after a rather disturbing, dark, interesting, confusing scene. Okay, we also have a just one of the most unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen it before in a Franco film. A smoking sequence where two women are smoking, and he kind of backlit it with pink, and you just see the smoke, kind of a haze of smoke in the camera, just moving slowly and quietly. Just an unbelievable scene with that, and he has these. I mean, the architecture in this film, it looks like a place that he's utilized before, I believe. I mean, there are some street scenes in the film that are very cold, very wintry, very damp, very rainy. That I believe might be France. But then, the actual villa itself, it looks like it was utilized in maybe one of his 60s films or something, or some other films, but, winding stone staircases, stone dungeon-like hallways, this awesome old record player Victrola, beds and kind of this elegant but antique furniture, and Jess Franco's architecture, Jess Franco's just the places that he shoots are just unreal for the budgets he was utilizing here, folks. I mean, unbelievable. So it definitely has, it's right by the ocean. Oh my gosh. It's right by the ocean. There's this amazing scene where Lena Remay and Alice Arno are kind of outside sunbathing, and Alice Arno is applying some lotion or some oils to Lena Remay's body. And all of a sudden, you're just looking and you see the ocean just around them, and it's just so hypnotizing. It's so amazing. You want to be there. Um, and he has no gynecological shots in this film. We actually he does. He does. He has like a real close up. It's dark. He has a real close up of a vagina. Um, but he has a mirror shot. He has like one mirror shot that I can. Well, there's a couple mirror shots, but there's one really interesting mirror shot where it's the only way for him to get Lena Remay's butt, and a little bit of another actress's butt. So it's a very interesting shot for him to, he utilized the mirror because he needed to in order to get the other side of the important side, the side he wanted to get to, of Lena Remay. This is a very, very interesting things. I wanted to point out a few things. Number one, I always find that, not all the time, but in this film you'll hear it. Lena Remay, in the dialogue, Lena Remay will mention the inadequacies of her own physical body, or the things that she finds pleasurable about her own body physically, and they always gets incorporated into the script somehow, which I find so interesting. It's so obviously written for her. It's her dialogue. Maybe it's improv, whatever. But she will utilize the actual. She was so self-aware of the awesome attributes of her own physical body and also the limitations of her own physical body, and she would utilize that in the dialogue. There's also another mute person in this film. Jess Franco has normally played mute people in his films, from Virgin Among the Living Dead to I'm blanking right now, but Lena Remay played one in How to Seduce a Virgin. Jess Franco likes these mute characters, these characters that kind of mumble hilariously and things. And there is one in here who has pivotal pieces in the film, and it's a male. Jess Franco is not in this film, as far as I could see at all, acting in the film. But um, he has these mute characters, which I find very, very interesting in his usage of mute characters. There's also an element that the character that Lena Remay talks about in this film, her character talks about in this film, of time, of living in a sense of no time and how pleasurable that is. What's so interesting about this film is that this film has no sense of time. This film really feels like it has no sense of time. So when Lena Remay says that, it's the film that you're watching also. It's real. It's actually happening in the film. There is no sense of time. As a matter of fact, the film is jarringly
bizarre in its cuts, in its takes, in its scenes, where characters all of a sudden disappear, then they return later on, where there's seemingly no logic. You're trying to figure out what's going on. How is that person there? Is this a flashback? Is this something that's happening now? Is this something that's happening? Did it just happen? When is it happening? Or is it happening at all? Yes, that sense of time. There is a playfulness to the dialogue in this film at times. There's a playfulness to the action in this film at times. The opening sequence of this film is one of the most unique and playful and interesting opening sequences of a Jess Franco film that I've seen. Even the credits, when the credits hit, it was so, I got chills. It was so unique. It was so interesting, so playful, and even with the dark, disturbing, illogical, surreal, and very claustrophobic, lonely, sexual vibe of the film, this police officer and this woman who plays kind of like a sex photographer, they add like this real humorous element to the film, where they're coming around. And I also found her to be the most attractive woman in the film, actually, which is interesting. The photographer, I thought she was really attractive, and she has some nude scenes in the film. And this is a film where we do have full nudity, male and female, but this is not explicit. There's no explicit sex in this film. I didn't see the rare banana version yet, but there's implied things. You're not actually seeing things. Typically, there's no fingers. You're not seeing fingers on the vagina, but things are implied, blocked by a leg. There's definitely writhing of female bodies and stuff like that, but there's no gynecological shots. There's no inside the butt shots and things like that. The butthole, the vagina from the taint from behind, and all this kind of. You're not getting that in this film, and it was surprisingly, interestingly enough, especially from the cover. Um, you're gonna be kind of taken back, because I think like 20 minutes goes by in the beginning of the film with no nudity at all. And for a Jess Franco film, especially with Lena Romay, especially when you're comparing it to other Lena Romay films, holy crap! Actually, I found this film very, very restrained sexually for a Jess Franco film, especially of this time period, especially with Lena Romay and Alice Arno and Paul Mueller. I found it very sexually restrained, but at the same time erotic. Great shots of Lena Romay's legs, bent legs with her boots on, her signature boots. Great shots of Alice Arno's body when she's naked, and great shots of the photographer. There's even some sadism in this film as well that comes out of nowhere, which is a staple in Franco's films, but you weren't expecting it in this film. And there's a twist. There's a couple twists. There's turns. There's violence. This is a very psychological and twisted and disturbing and dark and interesting and confusing. It's a confusing film in the jarring lack of time frames, and there's a twist at the end, and there's a twist throughout, and there's winks all throughout the film. It's a very playful yet serious and dark and witty and interestingly written film that it was really something special. And I gotta say that it's an interesting film too, to see, the way Jess Franco uses blood or doesn't use blood, and where there won't be blood and then there is blood, and he's never been a blood person, really, and I find that very interesting too as you watch this film. And there's a line near the beginning of the film that somebody says, where he talks about morals, and it's hilarious. You need to watch it. It might be representing Jess Franco, as I heard in his interview for Sadomania, another film. This is The Hot Nights of Linda. Oh, awesome movie. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarre YouTube page. And please feel free to check out all my other reviews and my own personal films at youtube.com/poopydiarrhea. Thank you and good night.